Wouldn't you think that in a world of billions of people, somewhere, sometime, you'd bump into someone exactly like you? But you won't. Because like everyone else in this world, you are a unique individual. You are special, never to be duplicated. What makes us so different one from another? Different parents, different home lives, different customs, different habits for health and hygiene. But for all our differences, all human beings have something in common. We each began as a mere dot that grew billions of times until about 7 pounds and 9 months later, we were ready to take on the world. Right from the start, we even had our own distinct identity.
From birth, we may each grow and go our separate directions, but we all pass the same signs on the way to adulthood. So, as different as we may become, all people are related by the experience of learning what life is about. Grow at top speed. That's the first sign. After your amazing development from a speck, you probably doubled your weight in your first 6 months. By the age of 3, boy or girl, you were twice as tall and maybe 5 times as heavy as you were at birth. Then later your system read, slow down. Between 3 and 10, girls generally grow a little less than 2 inches a year. Boys, a little more than 2 inches a year. When you're around 10, though, there's a sign that says, change gears and get growing. Suddenly, you're on your way out of childhood and into adulthood. Now, you may notice some distance between you and those around you. It's good to know that the changes in your life, like bends in the road, will come when they come, according to your own roadmap. For everybody's is a little different.
These changes start earlier for girls than for boys. Anywhere from 9 to 14, girls begin a growth spurt that may send some towering over boys in your class, but only until boys get growing themselves, usually between 11 and 16. Besides growing several inches taller and as much as 10 to 20 pounds heavier in 1 year, the shape of your body also begins to change to prepare you for adult life. At different speeds, but sooner or later, boys become more muscular with wider shoulders, longer arms, larger hands than girls. The male sex organs enlarge. Girls' hips round out. Their breasts develop and their bodies take the shape of a woman's.
Both boys and girls will have hair growing under the arms and in the pubic area. For a boy, more hair grows on the arms and legs, perhaps on the chest. And at last, there are real whiskers to shave. Boys with less body hair than others are no less manly. Then there are changes like a deeper, fuller voice, especially for boys, more perspiration, and perhaps complexion problems caused by the increased activity of oil and sweat glands. Glands are organs in your body that do various jobs of body maintenance, unless they happen to be glands that tell other glands what to do and when. Just such a gland signals the start of physical development from child to adult. It's called the pituitary, a pea-sized gland at the base of your brain which controls your growth by sending chemical messages called hormones throughout your body. At the time that's right for you, your pituitary sends a new hormone to your sex glands. In boys, the testicles. In girls, the ovaries. Then your sex glands send out new hormones that start your body shaping up. These glands also cause the sex cells inside them to ripen or mature.
Cells are the stuff we're made of, trillions of them, like skin cells, nerve cells, bone cells, team up to make you, you. But sex cells are special. a mature male sex cell, or sperm, and a mature female sex cell, an egg or ovum, combine to make new life. The time when sex cells mature is called puberty. At puberty, a boy and girl become capable of having a baby. That amazing new power could surprise you with a serious responsibility long before you're ready for it.
To prepare you for the responsibility of raising a family, nature puts in your path a sign many people miss. Think. Now's the time you get a mixed bag of new feelings, some excitement, some confusion, some rebelliousness, some fear, and a lot of self-consciousness. And all, believe it or not, to help you find out who in the world you really are. Working your way through these feelings, you learn to judge wisely what's best for you.
Those new feelings are triggered by physical changes inside you. Here's what's happening. For a young woman, the ripening of sex cells marks the start of a monthly cycle that will continue till age 45 or 50. It takes place in the ovaries, which house the egg cells. Once hormones have caused egg cells to ripen, the ovaries take turns each month releasing one egg cell. It's caught and carried by one of the two fallopian tubes to the uterus. This process is called ovulation. If the egg cell is penetrated by a male sperm cell along the way, the now fertilized egg comes to rest in the wall of the uterus, where it will grow into a baby. In preparation for a fertilized egg cell, each month the lining of the uterus thickens with matter to support and nourish a baby. But if the egg has not been fertilized, it dies and passes out of the body through the vagina, along with the blood and mucus that line the uterus. This process occurs about 10 days or 2 weeks after ovulation and is called menstruation. Every woman menstruates. Although the first year or so may be a bit irregular, a young woman generally menstruates once a month for a period of 3 to 7 days. Skipping a period may be due to several different reasons. When a woman becomes pregnant, her period stops until after the baby's birth.
In boys, there is no cycle. Male sperm cells are constantly produced and stored in the two testicles, contained in the scrotum, a sac of skin that hangs outside the body between the legs. A storage place for sperm at the back of each testis leads to a tube called the main sperm duct. Both tubes meet in the urethra, the channel which leads out of the body through the penis. Sperm cells are released in a thick whitish fluid called semen, produced by glands along the sperm duct. The urethra is the tube that also carries urine from a man's body, but nerves in the area shut off the connection from the bladder where urine is stored whenever sperm is passing through. For sperm to be released or ejaculated, the penis must become firm and erect. An erection sometimes happens in a boy's sleep. When a small amount of semen is released, a boy is said to have had a nocturnal emission or wet dream. It happens without warning and is perfectly normal. In fact, it's one way a young man knows he's become sexually mature.
Mature is a word that means full grown, but there's more to being grown up than physical maturity. There's also mental maturity, which you only achieve by the habit of thinking. Thinking teaches you to look at the consequences of your behavior, helps you make goals and set controls. Learning how to live responsibly teaches you how to love responsibly, like this. Taking care of yourself teaches you how to take care of others. Trying to understand your own feelings helps you understand others. Especially during these busy years, you'll want to feel good and look good, and you'll want your friends to notice. Eating right, keeping clean, and getting enough rest and exercise can help that happen. Good habits make a lot of good things happen when you take the responsibility of developing them. Once a young man and woman each know what personal responsibility means, they're ready to marry and make a home together. They know how to support themselves, they recognize each other's needs, and they're ready to have a baby. How does it happen?
New life is an amazing development. When a man releases sperm into a woman's vagina during sexual intercourse, they travel with tails to propel them upwards through the uterus. Out of millions of sperm that start the trip, only a few thousand reach the fallopian tube, where an egg cell may be traveling to the uterus. Only the strongest sperm survive the trip. Then, out of those thousands, only one sperm actually enters and fertilizes the egg. Chemicals in the egg cells reject all but the first sperm that enters. Once the egg is fertilized, it begins to divide from one cell into several. Remember that cells add up to a human body. Now is the time those cells divide from 2 to 4 to 8, 16, and so on, until that one cell, once no larger than a pinpoint, has multiplied to more than 200 billion, making a baby of about 7 pounds. After fertilization, the egg, multiplying as it travels through the fallopian tube, attaches itself to a wall of the uterus. Now the cells begin to shape themselves into the tissues and organs of a new body. Some of the cells make up a sac of fluid in which the baby floats to protect it during development.
At 1 month, the baby, called an embryo, is only about 1/4 inch long, but it's 10,000 times larger than it was as a fertilized egg. At 2 months, when the embryo is about 1 inch long, its main body parts have developed. While it continues to develop and grow, air and food are received through the umbilical cord. This lifeline connects the embryo to the placenta, special tissue that develops where the embryo is attached to the uterus. The placenta gathers nutrients and oxygen from the mother's blood and passes them through the umbilical cord. It likewise collects waste from the embryo, which is carried out of the mother with her own waste. There is no direct blood connection between a mother and her baby. At 3 months, the embryo is still only about 3 inches long, but has grown 30 times as heavy and more than 3 times as tall as it was just a month ago. At 4 months, the embryo is called a fetus. The fetus has grown over 8 inches long and has so developed by 4.5 to 5 months that the mother can feel the first faint stirrings of the child inside her. Its bones and muscles are toughening up, and as the next few months pass, the baby's skin thickens while the organs continue to develop. Its shape lengthens and slims down. Eyebrows and lashes appear. Hair grows on its head. Its weight increases greatly. The last 2 months, the baby's skin becomes smooth and pink. Between moving and resting, the baby grows fat. Finally, it turns head down in the uterus, getting ready to greet the world. During an unborn baby's growth, several changes occur in the mother. First, she has stopped menstruating. Her breasts enlarge to hold milk for the baby. And as her uterus stretches with her growing child, so does her abdomen. Finally, the baby moves into a lower position. When the mother begins to feel regular abdominal pains, she knows the baby is about to be born. The strong muscles of the uterus have begun to push the baby through the cervix and out the vagina, which stretches to allow the baby's passage. Usually, once the baby's head appears, a doctor helps the child along. That first cry tells that the baby is using his lungs to breathe. The umbilical cord is no longer needed, so the doctor clamps it off painlessly since it contains no nerves. Only the navel or belly button remains. After the birth of the baby, the placenta and rest of the umbilical cord are discharged from the mother as afterbirth, and her organs gradually return to their normal position and size.
A newborn baby is quite a surprise. Wrinkled and blotchy, he or she is hardly the sweet picture of mom or the image of dad. Before long, though, you can see the resemblance to family members. How does a baby inherit traits from parents? Let's go back to cells once more and look inside one. There's the key. At the center or nucleus of a cell, there are structures called chromosomes, which are themselves made up of genes. Genes are the chemical units that pass characteristics like eye color, hair, body type, from one generation to the next. There are 46 chromosomes in every human cell, except the mature sex cells. Since the egg cell and sperm cell combine to form new life, each has only 23. The fertilized egg cell will have the total 46 chromosomes, half from the father, half from the mother. As the cells divide, the chromosomes duplicate themselves, so that each new cell also has 46 chromosomes.
Each parent has several genes for each trait inherited from both of his or her parents. Which genes the new baby receives is a matter of chance and accounts for some surprising differences between brothers and sisters. Except in the case of identical twins. There are two kinds of twins, identical and fraternal. Identical twins result when one egg cell, fertilized by only one sperm cell, divides into two embryos. Identical twins are always the same sex and inherit the same traits. But fraternal twins may be no more alike than another brother or sister in the family, and may even be a boy and a girl. Because fraternal twins result when two sperm cells fertilize two egg cells, which happen to be released from one or both ovaries at the same time.
A child's traits are decided by a chemical in each of the fertilized egg's 46 chromosomes. DNA, short for deoxyribonucleic acid, is a substance that chains together the thousands of genes. All people have the same number and type of genes, but the way they are organized in the DNA chain makes the differences among people. DNA reproduces itself as cells divide. DNA tells how the new cell will be formed, but to carry out the work of building the new cell, DNA makes another chemical, RNA, or ribonucleic acid, to direct the production.
Boy or girl. When sex cells combine, there are special sex chromosomes that join to determine immediately whether the baby will be a boy or a girl. A woman's egg cells contain only the X chromosome, while male sperm cells have either an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. If sperm and egg unite two X chromosomes, the baby will be a girl. An X and Y combination produces a boy. So the sex of the child is determined by the father, although he cannot control which chromosome will be delivered to the egg cell.
Heredity and environment both shape the future of a newborn baby. Of course, you cannot choose your own sex, or what traits to inherit from your family, or even your early home life. But in the course of growing up, you'll finally reach a point when decisions do become yours to make. From then on, your own choices, like behavior and attitude, will shape your development. Where you're headed becomes your own responsibility. But that's when the real adventure of life begins. And now that you've got a new pack of knowledge, you're bound to have a smoother trip.